matam sanga.
And we're going all the way to Jamaica. And we're going to be speaking with Lizard, Clive Hunt. Oh my God, have mercy. Now Clive Hunt is a veteran Jamaican musician. In fact, he's a Jamaican reggae multi-instrumentalist. He is an arranger and at the same time a composer and a producer. Oh my God, have mercy. And his name is Clive Lizard Hunt. Oh my God, have mercy. Oh God. My brother, my sister, we're going to be having a very interesting interview. We're going to have a very beautiful interview. Yeah, man. Beautiful interview. My brother, my sister. And it's going to be most interesting, trust me. Clive, how are you doing? And we are live on Facebook. Yes, live on Facebook via Zoom. Clive, how are you doing?
I am good, my brother. Thank you.
Oh, my God, have mercy. Oh, my God, have mercy. And thanks so much for agreeing to talk to us all the way from your base in Jamaica.
Yes, man. Anything for Africans.
Interesting. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so Clive, tell me how it started for you as a sound engineer, an arranger, multi-instrumentalist, and all that. Did you originally think that you wanted to be a musician, or did you come out as a musician, like wanting to be a musician?
No, I had never had no inclination. But I can tell you, my father used to sing. I always remember him singing for me just before bedtime. And singing all of those country and western songs. Anyway, in my town where I live, where I'm still here, where I was born, there's a theater. Back in the days when reggae artists, musicians like Jimmy Cliff, the Eptones, Bob Marley and the Wailers, the Scatterlights, all of them used to tour. I was a little boy, and I couldn't go. They wouldn't allow theater, but I used to sneak with my school friends to the liquor side door and borrow a hole somewhere so we could watch the concerts. And I remember seeing some of those names people I mentioned to you. And would you believe a few years later I was in the studio producing them?
Wow! Wow!
Yes.
Interesting.
My journey started as I went to school, and you had to do a vocation, a trade. And I was learning to be a tailor apart from my home. And then they started a music class, and apparently just where I hung out in the evening after school, the music room was right there, and I was watching it. And it was up the school where you were bored. You had to stay at the school. And maybe 6 weeks later, after the music class started, or maybe a couple months, they told me I had to go home for the holiday, Christmas holiday. And I really didn't want to come back home. I wanted to stay at the school. And they said, no, I had to come home. So I knew I was going to go home to be the best boy in the tailoring. So I asked my tailor instructor if any boy ever went home and he was the best in more than one vocation. And he said no. So next day I went to join the music room because I've been watching everything from day one. The music teacher was teaching the class. And I went in and told him I want to join the class. And he was happy because I was very popular at that age. I was about 12 going 13. And he was very happy because he thought I'd bring some other boys on board. Anyway, when I went there, he told me I could join the class, but next year after Christmas. So I said, no, I want to do it today, boss. He said, no, you can't do it today. You have to do it after Christmas. And he said, today we're doing a test, like the end of the term test. So I said, I want to do the test. He said, you know music? I said, boss, I know more than all of them in the class.
Wow, wow, wow.
And the theory of music, bass clef, treble clef, notes, time signatures, everything. Before I actually joined the class, I took the test and he gave me 2 hours to do it, and I did it in 10 minutes, and I came out way ahead of everybody. And he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Clive." He said, "What?" He said, "What you do?" I said, "I'm a tailor." I said, "Not from today." That was it until this day.
Oh my God, have mercy. Clive Hunt is my guest, all the way from his base in Jamaica. Now, he was born on the 31st of May in 1952. So he's 72, is that correct?
Yes, next month I'll be 73, and I'm proud. I'm still working with the young people and working with the same energy as when I was 20.
What have you been eating and what have you been drinking? You don't look 72 at all.
No, man. Well, as I say, my daddy was a Rasta man, so I grew up under that vibes, and I treat myself bad actually. I'm amazed also. I just think I'm blessed actually.
Interesting.
That's really, yeah.
All right. So, Clive, I'm going to ask you this. Alpha Blondy granted an interview a few years back, and he said that a lot of his success would have to be credited to you. He said when he came to Jamaica, he was singing all English songs, and you were the one who told him to sing in his local dialect. Tell me about that, Clive.
Well, actually, it was long before he came to Jamaica. I knew him when he wasn't Alpha Blondy. I knew him when he was Sedu Coney. That's his right name.
Right.
I was in New York for the only time I left Jamaica for more than a year. I was in New York in the late 70s, mid to late 70s. And I went to I had to see my music associates, my musicians and engineers and the artists. We're all friends. And that's the life I have lived, always lived. So I went to Columbia University and he was a student there. When I went there, I went close enough to the stage where everybody coming out from backstage would see me, all of the musicians and the artists. And it was Peter Touch, Max Romeo, Black Uhuru, and a few more, plus their bands. So I had noticed this man standing in a corner, this man with a big book, and he was staring at me. But what happened I realized he was staring at me because all of the musicians and the artists, when they run from backstage to go on stage, they see me and they run over and hug me and say, Clive, wait, don't move. Okay, and he come to me and say, who are you? I say, nobody. He say, who are you? I say, I am nobody. And he say, why these people talk to you? I say, oh, I am one of them. And he say, you sing? I say, no, I don't sing. I tell them how to sing. And then he told me the book in his hand was a book of songs.
This is 3FM.
Yes. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clearly.
Yeah, he told me that the book in his hand, it was a big book, Rasta. It was a big, thick book, 4 or 5 inches thick. And a big book, and he said the book in his hands were of songs. No, I was very excited about that because I tell him my father preached Africa, Rasta, Haile Selassie. This was the first African meeting like this. And so I told him, I gave him my number and my address where I live in New York, and he came to see me the next day, and I set up a studio. I was the only one in the studio, so I set everything up to record, bass, drums, guitars, organ, piano, microphone. So when he came with his girlfriend, which incidentally was a Jamaican girl at the same Columbia University.
I see.
When he came to the studio, I sat at the piano and I said, okay, sing me a song. And he said, oh, I don't sing.
Wow.
I said, what? Sing me a song. And he said, oh, I don't sing. So I say, so what is that book for? He said, oh, it's only lyrics. I said, no, I don't work in lyrics only. I'm sorry. I'm not in the into music. And he said, oh, no, I'm sorry, I don't sing. So I was very disappointed. So I started to play Bob Marley's War on the piano. Ching, 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 and talking to him. We're both talking. But he stopped talking. I noticed him he was amazed at me playing the piano. And his hands just started to sing Bob Marley's War in French. I never heard anything like that in my life.
Wow.
Just say, yeah, and say, entree, da 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 dee da 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 dee dee da 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 da. They say, gear. I said, my God. And I just get up and I walk to the control room, stop the tape, rewind the tape, and just start to play it. And when he heard it, he said, that's my voice. Wow. And I said, Bridget, you still can't sing. He said, oh, no, I don't sing. I said, you can sing.
What?
and then I said to him, don't you have not even one of those lyrics in melody? And he said, oh, yeah, I think I have one song in here with a little melody. And he found the song. I said, let me hear it. And it was a song. You might know the song, or Africa might know the song. It goes like, Buri, Buri,
yes, yes, of course we know it.
And when he did it, man, I said, I was so happy. And over the time we were together, I said we'd record maybe 6 or 7 or 8 songs,
Uh-huh.
but he got sick. We became very, very close. He got sick, bad, bad, bad. Him smoke a spliff. Somebody in New York gave him with something in it, and he ended up in the madhouse, man. And I,
Oh, okay.
yeah, you know
Wow.
the story. He told me about it. No?
Wow. He,
Yes, he was there like Bellevue for 1 year. So I left Jamaica, I didn't see him again. And then I'd always speak to my friends in New York, ask them, let's see my friend Sedu. And that after a year, he came back in the street, but he was still sick. And I lost touch with him totally. Going
wow.
fast forward to 1991, my life went through many changes too. I was in a rehab in Kingston. And number 1 reggae song all over the world. Named Putting Up Resistance with Barry Salmon.
Yes.
Putting Up Resistance.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes. Africa knows that. Yeah.
I was in the room for 4 months, and I never tell nobody who I am, what I do, or nothing. I was just there to recover, to be a normal person again. And then there was an interview with Barry Salmon on the only TV in the complex, and everybody said, the doctors, the professors, everybody, residents, nurses, and they were interviewing Barry Salmon, and the guy said to Barry, how did you do this song, man? This song is fantastic. And Barry said, oh, I only sing. It was Clive Hunt. And the guy said, Clive Hunt, where is he? And Barry said, oh, you soon see him. He's taking care of some business. He'll be back. And then the whole room turned around and looked at me and say, and a lady, she said, is he talking about you? I'm going to say, yeah, man. And then she was a counselor from England. So
Interesting.
she asked me if I ever heard of Alpha Blondie, and I said, no, never. She said, how come you're so big and you don't know about Alpha Blondie? I said, no, I heard the name, but I don't know him. What, and she said, she went back to England a month later and came back with a CD, and she ran from the airport in a taxi, and she ran, said, Clive. And she gave me the CD and said, this is Alpha Blondie. I said, Sedu. She said, no, Alpha Blondie. I said, this is my friend Sedu. And we
This is
connected soon after that.
3FM.
I came to Ghana with him. We drove from Cote d'Ivoire to Ghana. I went to Labadi Beach and
Oh,
quite a few
wow.
places.
Oh,
Yeah.
you've been to Ghana before. Oh, my God, have mercy.
I have 2 Ghanaian children.
Yes. Oh, 2 Ghanaian children. Okay. Wow. Wow. Interesting.
Kofi and Nayeli. Oh.
This is 3FM.
Oh, Clive.
Yes.
So,
It's a long journey.
yes, it is. Clive, would you say that you were the first to record Alpha Blondie?
I was the first to take him into a recording studio. He never saw one in his life.
My
I can tell you that, yes, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you feel right now that is one of the biggest reggae artists in the world?
I am happy. I feel blessed to be a part of his journey. I just wish we'd still be working together.
Yes. But
I heard his last recording with his last release a month ago with Capleton.
Right.
I think it's but you should have called me. I would have fly or I would send the music to me, I'll fix it and send it back to him.
Yeah.
But this is my personal ego maybe. But
Yeah.
I love him and I'm happy for what he has done. And I look forward to work with other artists from Africa. Let me tell you in a little concise way.
Right.
One of the main reasons why we don't work together anymore, he doesn't want me to work with no other African but himself. And I can't do that.
oh, wow, is that true?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Alpha Blondie doesn't want you to work with any other African artist except him.
Yes, and I said, no, man, come on.
That sounds selfish.
Let me tell you something. I am a man who Bob Marley asked me maybe 5 times to work with him, and I said no. I didn't work with him. I worked with Peter Tosh. And Bunny Wheeler's asked me 2 or 3 times to work with him. I said no. You know what I mean? I work with Peter Tosh. Me a Rasta man picking up, really Rasta man picking. So I have that revolutionary everything in me, and we just look at people and say no. And Alpha, when Alpha said that to me, I was like, yesterday he wasn't giving me any guarantees about, we work whenever I want you work, but don't work with nobody else. So I was asked to do some work with Tickinger for Coley.
Right.
And I said no, because Alpha, I tell my agent, said no, I don't want to do it because Alpha don't want me to do. And the guy said, oh no.
Wow.
Anyway, a little bit later,
Wow.
Tickinger's people contacted me and told me that he's coming to Jamaica, and if I could make some recommendations for him. So I recommend him to work at Tough Gang Studio, Bob Marley Studio.
Right.
And the crew at Tough Gang Studio is my crew. I train them, they work for me, they do anything I say, basically. And so they came there and they work. And when the Ticking Jazz album came out, they credited me by saying, special thanks to Clive Hunt. And Alpha saw that and he was very angry. He didn't want to hear nothing from me from that.
This is 3FM.
Wow.
The relationship go boom. But that's how it go, man. That's how it go.
But why would Alpha Blondy not want you to work with any African artist and be angry that you work with Tick and Jaffa Cole?
I don't understand humanity. I'm sorry. I'm just a simple musician. I don't know what goes on in my head. I don't know if it's God made man some way or man make themselves some way. So that's all I can tell you, my brother.
Why did you refuse to work with Bob Marley and also with Bunny Wailer?
Well, I admired Bob a whole lot. When I was a little boy those days, I'm telling you, these men, when I was a teenager, I was working with the top reggae musicians in the world. I didn't know that all of these people were the top reggae musicians, and some of them are top musicians. I just learned music. I learned classical music. So I was proficient enough on my instrument or in theory of music and the orchestration that I know any instrument, the range, the register, what they can do or not. So I ended up working very fast and rubbing shoulders with the best. So Bob and the Wailers, not Bob Marley and the Wailers, which it was just Bob, Buddy, and Peter. I ended up backing them in a band I was in. I was a guest member of the band for a night, and I turned up and we played. And I love them. I love the performance, but I noticed Bob had a different spirit from Peter and Bunny. And when I started to work with a reggae group of musicians, which their office was across the street from Tough Gang original office, downtown Kingston. I was kind of very reserved. Those days I didn't drink a beer, so I didn't talk unless I had an opportunity. I had something really to say. I'd be very quiet. So anyway,
wow.
I was watching Bob and the type of people he talked with, and then he noticed the people that he love and respect in music always come to me whenever I come to this place. They always come to me first, and I don't know if he asked a question about me, and somebody told him that I play the flute also, and he called me one day and say, you play flute? I'm going to say, yeah, man. Oh, there was a Dennis Brown song, which was a #1 song, and I played the flute on it. And he heard it, and he called me and asked me if I did it. I say yes. So he told me he was going on tour, and he'd like me to play. And I said, no. Sorry, man. I don't play that well. I told him I didn't play that well to go tour with him. I just didn't feel the vibes. Anyway, after a while, I get to know him more, and then the 10-stone vibes around him. It's a lot of rough stuff, road boys and rough stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't want to be involved in that too, because I joined the Jamaican Defense Force. The army took me in the army when I was 17 years old.
Right.
And I did so well. They sent me. They attached me to the British Army for 1 year. And when I left, the army didn't want me to do no music because I was a very proficient soldier. Music made me very good at many things. Okay.
Wow.
Anyway, I didn't want to hook up with him because he had too much road boys around him. And I was afraid that I might be in a confrontation with one or two of them. So I decided to stay away. And I actually, up to this date and until now, me and some of those road boys are friends. But me and him never get together. Okay?
Interesting.
So that's it. I work on quite a few Peter Tosh albums. Since he was signed to Rolling Stones Records, I was his arranger. He's musical arranger. All of those Mama Africa, those Johnny B. Good, all of those things.
Oh, wow.
I did all of those. I've never really worked with Bob, no.
Interesting. Well, my guest all the way from his base in Jamaica is Clive Lizard Hunt. Oh my God, have mercy. 72-year-old Lizard. My brother, my sister, we're having a beautiful conversation right here on 92.73 FM, your urban lifestyle radio. Now, Clive, tell me, you were in the rehab. What took you there?
Yeah, that's another. And let me tell you, Blakk Rasta, my life's many journeys. Okay, um, there's a guy who's writing a book now for 3 years, and I think it's driving him nuts. But I think I am driving him nuts because he's just writing all of these nice things about me, and I don't want that. Every book I've ever read about any reggae personality,
Yeah.
I can say because I've been around them all my life from I was a teenager until now.
Right.
I know them differently from how the books write about them.
Wow.
And I would like if they're writing about me, they write real stories. You know, like you say, you have the internet and you have the dark net and you have all of these things. Yeah. So I was very popular as a producer, a musician, and arranger, and a teacher. I teach and I learn, you know, it's serious. And I teach engineers to how to appreciate sounds, how to balance, how to mix, you know, properly, and why. To me, mixing is like a conductor conducting an orchestra. So sometimes you tell the string section to shh, quiet. Sometimes I tell it on like to the, you know what I'm saying? So this, to me, I bring this concept into mixing, and I teach some of the greatest reggae engineers this concept. So anyway, what was the question again, please? Tell me, last one.
What took you to the rehab?
Oh, yes. So because of my popularity, some people would be telling me all the time that there were some of my colleagues and people in the business who were using drugs. And drugs, like in Jamaica, only drugs, you know, is ganja and cocaine. That's it. You know, cocaine, and they were using cocaine in various ways. Now, I grew up around ganja. My family, my father, they eat, him drink, him smoke, him sleep on ganja. So ganja to me, I never had it as a drug like that. But
This
when they say
is
drug, it was
3FM.
cocaine. And I used to tell everybody that if I found out that one of the person I am working with, you do cocaine, I will not work with them ever again.
Wow.
No more. So because I was very strong in my utterances about this, there were people right sitting next to me every day who was doing it, and I didn't know until I found out when I was in New York doing a recording session that, you know, something bad happened, man. I had a big session, big crew of musicians, same musicians Quincy Jones were using, and on a Frank Sinatra project. I wanted them on a reggae project to do horns and strings and all of this. I told you I arranged. I write the arrangement, and a friend of mine who was supposed to be there to balance me as my business partner with the money to pay, he just disappeared in the middle of the session in New York City. Would you believe? In the middle of the session, and I was left with holding half of the bag, and I had the best musicians in America, all of them, working for me. So I got it taken care of, and then a friend of mine told me, who was there, tell me, say, you know, your guy, you know where he is? He's down by a friend at somebody's house. This other person he talked about was one of the Bob Marley Wailers, a band. So I went down to the house, and I went down there. It was the man's house. He didn't feel no way. He's not hiding it. Don't care if I know he smoke or drink coke, whatever he smoke, sniff coke. So when I went, he let me in. And when I went in, I saw my friend and a few other famous people that you know and know of. And the world knows them. I'm going on them, say, oh, I'm Clive. But I noticed everybody was hiding something. One hand was hiding something. And I got hungry. I said, what were they hiding? I thought they were hiding guns or they were going to hurt me or something. And then the guy who owns the house say, show me this thing and say, hey, this is what everybody is doing. And so that was it. They were involved in the drug. And he showed me the power of vanilla. That's the word. Anyway, I say to him and them, I say, let me tell you, nothing can let me behave like Uno. Nothing can let me behave like you guys. And I said, let me try that. And I tried it, and I was like, oh. And I started to swear. I said, hey, this is disgusting. And I started to curse them, some terrible curse. And I left. And the same night, it was night, you know, and I didn't know the signs of people use this thing. So I went to another friend's house, and he and his wife were there. And if I had known what I know now, I would have been good. But I was there telling them what happened, and the woman was in her ceiling, cleaning the cobweb in the ceiling at 1 a.m. The man was doing something very active in a loft in New York City. And she said to me, oh, Clive, you didn't try to write it. Let me show you. And she came down, set up the whole thing and tell me to take a pull. And let me tell you, Rasta. It took me 11 years from that moment. My whole life went from there, I was rubbing shoulders with movie stars, Rolling Stones, all of these people, biggest names in music business, working in the best studios with the top producers, and they love me because I'm still basically, I was still basically a poor Jamaican boy. Studio owners love me. They give me the studios with nobody when I'm not working. I mean, studios with Barbara Streisand, Frank Sinatra, Steely Dan, Stevie Wonder, everybody. I could go in there if nobody's working on the weekend. I have the studio for myself. And at night, too. So anyway, this incident at not one of these studios. Anyway, when the woman let me try that thing, man, my whole life changed. And it took me 11 years. I lost my children, my friends, my goes right down to my mother. Everybody.
Oh my God.
And I was living in the street. I was living in the street in New York and Philadelphia, then Miami. Then I got myself sent home to Jamaica. I thought it would be best. I came to Jamaica. It was just here, just like New York City. It was the same way.
My
you know what
God.
I mean? But there are some people who obviously does this thing and you walk and see them. But what I discovered is there's a lot of people in societies, including pastors, politicians, who does the same thing too.
Was it cocaine?
Because they reveal themselves to you only if they know you're a user. Right. So I was living like this, sleeping under my friend's cellar on the veranda with his dog. I had a friend. He was in a band named Chalice. Okay, you know Chalice, that man?
Yes. Peter Bota. They have a big song we love in Africa called Peter Bota.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Peter Bota is a Batty man. Batty man is big all over Africa from Chalice. Yes.
Their first song was one of my songs, Good to Be There. It will be good to be there. You know that song?
Yes.
That was their first song.
Oh.
Anyway, I went on his veranda at night when he went to bed with his wife and his children. I sleep on the front porch. And he found out and he wake up sometimes and say, Clive, man, oh my God, please stop this. And I'll go and I'll still come back every night. And I know he wouldn't chase me away. We love each other like brothers.
See.
Anyway, he got a big German Shepherd dog.
Oh my God.
For the yard. And the first night I went there to the dog, I had a box with KFC.
Oh my
God. And I
God.
going the dog was standing, he didn't bark, he just standing looking at me. And I just opened the box and gave him a chicken leg. And we became best friends.
I see. Oh, so you were addicted to cocaine for about 11 years, right? Are you off
for
it
11
now?
years. Yes, and then I went into a friend of mine I was teaching a friend, an engineer, he's a big engineer for the lighting company in Jamaica, to give electricity. And I was teaching him to play the bass guitar. And a friend of his came by who was a teacher and showed me a newspaper clipping that there was a rehab in Jamaica. I was very excited. So I tell him to take it to my mother because she not want to talk to me or see me. So my mother see this because she'd be very impressed, their appearance and their utterances. So he went to my mother's house, showed her the newspaper, showed her the clipping. And my mother sent somebody to take me to the rehab. And I eventually there was two of them. And I eventually went there and they eventually accepted me. They didn't want me in there because I was too in their hype. I knew I was too I was too into myself. I know too much superstars. So I walk in the room and I'd be like, I'm a dirty, stinking drug addict. I still have my shoulder cocked up and my head up in the sky, you know what I mean? Anyway, they accepted me and I spent 6 months in that rehab. And when I came out of the rehab, that same song, as I told you, was number one, Putting Up Resistance.
Yes.
And I went to Barry Simon. They told me to just come out to leave the rehab one night suddenly without warning. I didn't have a date to leave. They just told me to leave. Wow. And I didn't have no money, nothing. And I live far, very far rural, like my house in the country right now. So I walk to where I know Barry Simon hangs out with his friends and most musicians, the Mighty Diamonds. Most of us hang out around the studio in halfway tree here in Kingston, essentially here in Kingston. So I walked there, it was a few miles, and I saw Barry Simon playing dominoes, and I didn't get very upset, man. I said, Clive, what are you doing here? Why did you leave the place? I said, Barry, shut up, man. They told me to leave. And he said, what did you do? I said, I don't do nothing. They tell me to leave. No. So he said, so what? I said, I want to go to my mother's house in the country. And my mother now loves me now. I'm her baby again. And so, but she was in New York. So I was feeling very disappointed and hurt. And I was afraid of the dark and the night and the street and the night. You know, the life of a drug addict. So they gave me his brand new SUV. I left the place in a little bag, with about 3 suits of clothes and underwear and a slipper. And the parents gave me his brand new SUV.
Wow.
And I drove up here, picked up my bag, which I left in the yard. Everybody was watching me. I drove back to Berries, and he said, what now? I say, put me in a taxi and let the taxi take me to my rural country, to my mother. And Berry said, why? I say, I have to go. I can't stay here. And Berry say, Clive, everybody want you to work. I say, I want to go home. I don't want to work. Berry's convinced me to come to his house to stay with his family. And I spent 2 weeks with him. At the end of the 2 weeks, I bought my own car and drive home.
Wow.
Yes. And Jimmy Cliff saw me when I drove back to Kingston the first time. And actually, I thought he was drunk. He banked his car on me and pushed me up the sidewalk and said, Clive, you didn't put it up resistance? And I say, yes. He said, I'm on my way to the airport. When I get back, please, in 2 weeks, could you come to meet me at my house? And I measured the days, 2 weeks exactly. I went to his house. I had breakfast with his manager, who was a South African guy. And he asked me to produce 2 songs for me. It was in an album, 18 songs. He said he respected me. He said he wanted me to choose the first 2 songs. I said, Jimmy, who else is going to produce? He said, Slab is going to produce 7. And then Tucker is going to produce 7. Computer Paul is going to produce 2. So because he want me to make the choice of the first 2. I said, Jimmy, no, let me tell you. Sly and Robbie cannot produce anything. And the Doctor cannot produce everything and anything. And Computer Power too. So I tell you, after everybody pick all of their songs, any 2 songs which is left that you want on your album and they didn't pick, I will produce it. And his manager get up and say, hey, I love this guy. And that's how the relationship started. I did 3 albums to date with him, at least 3 albums, plus a few songs for the movie Speed 2 and the song I Can See Clearly Now for the Cool
was that your
Runnings
production?
song.
You did that?
Yeah, man, all of those. Yeah.
Whoa, wow.
This is 3FM.
So my guest in the studio, oh my God, from his base in Jamaica is Clive Hunt. And he's worked with so many superstar artists like Shaka Khan, Stevie Wonder, Peter Tosh, The Wailers, Grace Jones, Max Romeo, Pablo Moses, Jimmy Cliff, Johnny Clark, Judy Mowat, Devon Irons, and many more, including Tiken Jaffa Kohli. Now the interesting thing is that, in fact, the only African artist in this list is Tiken Jaffa Kohli. Of course, he also did something with Alpha Blondy, as he mentioned to us. Oh my God, have mercy. But let's have a feel of some of these wonderful tracks that, he produced. This is one of them from Barry Salmon. Yes?
Yeah.
And back to Kingston, Jamaica with Clive Hunt.
Lord.
Oh, Clive. Oh, Lord, God have mercy. So we just played Putting Up a Resistance. That featured you, Roy, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, Putting Up a Resistance.
Sorry.
Not tell her. Eh?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. We just played Putting Up a Resistance featuring you, Roy. That was a yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yes. All right. So, Clive, you played. You worked with so many different artists. Tell me, which one of them did you enjoy working with most?
Oh my God. Well, no. That's difficult for me. Blakk Rasta, I always tell people this might sound be a letdown answer. But I make so much music every day. I make music like a tailor makes shirts. But the people, some of the songs I've worked on, I remember. Some of them I will talk about because they become so outstanding hits, and I'm being reminded of them all the time, like Putting Up a Sister. I can see clearly, and so on and so on and so on. But to tell you, I really enjoy the people. The people I work with.
Right.
Yeah, man. But it's kind of difficult for me. You kind of catch me off guard. But I've worked with Dennis Brown, Gregory Isaac.
Yeah.
Betty Wright, Barry Salmon. These people were good friends. Those people, if they don't hear from me for a little while, they'll come to my mother's house. They come to my community as big stars. They'll drive there and they'll be asking people. As people see them and say, and they say, excuse me, do you know a man named Clive? And they say, yes, where he lives. And they'll find me, or they say, oh, his mother lived there, or his brother lived there, or his, you know what I'm saying, sister lived there. So I really enjoy relationships like that, because this is a business where people forget you very easily.
That's correct.
And when you do some work, like me, you notice lately, you see me doing a lot of promotion, my team around me. For 50 odd years, I stay hidden. I stay like in the closet making music, and people would always be telling people, oh, I did this, I did this, I did that, we did this, we did this. And then, like for example, a song named Jack Cure had a big hit a few years ago. It goes like, when I found that girl, you know it?
I think so. I think I do. Yes.
It's a massive hit. It's a massive hit for him and for reggae, because after I did that song, I got a big contract. That lasts up to now, basically with VP Records. I did maybe 2 movie soundtracks and hens of work. I did another album with Jimmy Cliff. But when I did that song, Jack Cure was just around. He wasn't even in the studio. He didn't even give a damn. He didn't know what was happening. You know what I mean? So, and you'd believe he was on the BBC Radio 1 with Radigan in England a couple of years later when he was on European tour. And Radigan did an interview and he said, I produced that song. And all of this. So Radigan was there, really? I said, yes. And he said, oh my God. So after the interview, Radigan called the engineer. His name is Greg Morris. He works with Portage and Steve Marley a lot. And he called Greg and, they were in the BBC studio, and he said, Greg, did Jack Cure really produce that song? And Greg said, him says so. And then Radigan said to him, so what is Clive Hunt name doing on the album? And Greg said, Radigan, don't you know what Clive Hunt do? And he said, Radigan show with the CD and said, bloody hell. so Elizabeth, Elizabeth, my business partner, she's from Ghana there too.
Yes.
She's from Accra.
Yes.
I know her when she came to me and, maybe 2 years ago, I said, Clive, I've known you from I was 21. Now I'm almost 70. And you were always one of the best, and nobody knows about you. I'm going to spend the rest of my working days working with and for you. Her name is Elizabeth Plan. She's from there.
Yes, I know Elizabeth.
And all of that, the family there.
Right.
And she's been helping me. She's been promoting me all over the world. Now everybody is walking around calling me, asking me, who is promoting you? So she just took me and my name and my work out of the closet, and I intend to continue working at this level and more until I can't do it no more.
Is the digital world a challenge to you? I mean, I know that you began in the analog days. Digital, is it a worry to you?
No, brother. No, man. I tell you, I work with some of the best youths in Jamaica, technical people. I was the one who first started. I introduced Sly Dunbar and them to drum machine to keyboards. I used to be a manager for Samash Music Store when they were only 5 in America. And I worked there for 3 years, and I introduced reggae to these all of the new stuff coming on. And let me tell you, all of the youths who work for me, they have to be the best, because I make demands which are not possible as yet.
Interesting.
So don't worry yourself. I am very, very, very much with it. And any day I slip, you see the young people who plays on all of the music you know of,
right?
They're gonna come I'll call one of my sons and say, Uncle is losing it or what? No, I stay up, man. Yeah, they think that I'm going mad. I'm done with. And as far as they are concerned, listen, trust me, my relationship with my crew, the team, everyone I work with is most beautiful. Okay?
I'm gonna ask you two more questions and we'll be done. Tell me, which is the biggest song you have produced yet?
I would say putting up resistance. No. When I can see clearly now, and I say this because I have traveled a lot. Music people, we travel a lot. Any country on the planet you go to, you hear that song on national radio right through the day, and you hear it on national TV. In the song plus the advertisement, it advertises people are selling boat ships for yachts for $1 billion. You see the advertisement come on, you see the yacht, and you hear, I can see clearly now.
Right.
At any country, you don't hear. Let me tell you, when I say this, a lot of people, even the Malis, don't like it. If you go to any of these countries, Russia, North Korea, you out anywhere, Brazil, anywhere, you don't hear about Marley on national radio. You hear him on the little community radios and the internet radios. And you hear him on the street, but on national radio in every single country I've ever been, and anyone in reggae I've ever been. Check it yourself from now on. You hear, I can see clearly now, right through the day.
Wow. Wow.
So I would say that. Yeah, I would say that.
Yes. So, Clive, you haven't worked with many reggae artists from Africa that much. Tell me, what is reggae from Africa to you like? Is it authentic? Is it weak? What do you think about African reggae?
No. It's Africa is the rules. Africa is the foundation of what we do. You know what I mean? It is authentic. I just wish sometimes one or two of us will be invited to participate. Or like what you said, like you and I, you sent something to me. See what you can do with it. I would love to have this happening from all over Africa. Recently I lost my sight. But that don't stop me. I'm moving same way, and I intend to be in Africa later this year. And I want to move all over. I speak to our friends in Ethiopia. I have Rasta men who I see live in Jamaica, and I say, brethren, I'm going to help you to go to...
Wow.
Come back to Jamaica, get me problem. I go to Africa, don't come back here. And they're living there. They call me daily. Yes.
Interesting. So you have lost your sight totally. You don't see anything.
No, I only see light and darkness. I not even on the phone. Even you're talking to me, I can't. When I see the phone, it's just a black spot in front of me. Yeah, I've lost it, but hey, let me tell you, man, me's a real Rastaman picnic now. Me get shot 8 times.
Wow.
See? And 2 weeks after I got shot 8 times, I was in the studio producing one of the biggest French reggae artists ever. His name is Pierre Paul Jacques for Universal Records.
Yeah, I know him. I know Paul Jacques.
Yeah, man, I made him famous, rich and famous. My jaw, my mouth was wired up. I couldn't open my mouth. And I was in the studio producing like, come again, okay, no. And at the same time, both of my arms were they used metal and have them up in the air. I couldn't move my arms down, forward or backward. And I was in the studio work 2 weeks after I got 8 gunshots, And let me tell you what I did. Every Friday evening, I was telling a friend of mine yesterday evening. Every Friday evening, I'd fly from Kingston to London to see a doctor in London to make sure whatever the Jamaican doctors were telling me was okay. And I did that for 6 weeks, and here I am. I'm good. So, Rasta, I was a survivor, and if I lose my sight, I feel blessed. Some people lose their hands, their feet, or one of them, or some people lose their head every day. I still have my recipe, and I still work. I make good music.
For real, Clive, I want to say thank you so much for talking to us. The whole of Africa, is listening to you, and I'm sure that, we are blessed by, your experience and your story. Thank you so much for talking to us, Clive.
More love, enough love, all respect. Love Africa.
Blessed.
Jagai.
Clearly known for him the biggest reggae song he has ever produced.
This